Coming to you live from $1 Million Studios, it's your boys, Chris Speezak,
a.k.a. the Speez,
and the benchmark of professional wrestling, Mr. Silky Baines,
a.k.a., of course, the Benchmark.
Speez and the Benchmark show on a Monday night, July the 16th, 2018. Thank you so much for joining us, all of you with us here on the YouTubes, and welcome back to our Periscope fans. We are now broadcasting back on Periscope again.
Simulcast.
So that's good. Get a little simulcast thing going on.
This
so
is like
thank you all for being with us.
WCW, Raw, and Nitro.
I know, a little bit, isn't it? It is.
It's a throwback to that.
It is a little bit. So tell the people before we get started, because not only was it a busy weekend, we had the G1 Climax kicking off. We had WWE Extreme Rules. We had Raw tonight, where the Universal title appears to be back in circulation. But most importantly for us here on the show, the Benchmark got himself a victory this weekend. Tell the folks what's going on with that.
Well, I mean, it was both. A little bit of A, a little bit of B. We won the match. We got the pinfall. And then we got beat up. Well, I got beat up. I don't know what happened. Dubron and Romeo fought to the back. And I had T-Ray loaded up for the powerbomb. It was going to be great. Get a lot of aggression out. And then he hit me in the balls. He Shinsuke Nakamura'd me.
He Nakamura'd you.
Yeah, he Nakamura'd me. Oz cutter thing, and then I got hit in the face with a chair again by him. That's 2 times.
Well, that's no good.
So it won't be a third time. I'm going to punch him in the face several times. About the facial area.
Okay, well, it happens from time to time. But,
it does.
But you got the win, and that's what's important.
We got the win, so that was great.
That's always.
It was more he got the win. He got the pin, but I was there. I did a suicide dive.
And didn't kill yourself.
Didn't kill myself. It was great.
Eat your heart out, Killian Dane. How about that?
Boom. You're not the only fat motherfucker who can dive.
That's right. Well, once again, folks, we are happy you are with us. Chris Speezak, the Benchmark Silky Baines, Speez and the Benchmark Show. Glad to have you with us. Let's talk some Monday Night Raw here. Or where should we start? Where do we want to start today?
I guess we should start off at Extreme Rules.
Probably so.
Which I did not watch all of because I wrestled yesterday.
Because you were wrestling.
But I caught some of it.
Welcome to Merci 61.
Merci.
One of the things I want to get out of the way early, and I hope you'll indulge me here for a moment, kind of a bit of a manifesto, if you will, about the show here. One of the things that
he's saying nicely. This is where we say, "We told you, motherfuckers."
No, that's not what we're going to say.
That's that's absolutely.
One of the things that was very important to me, and you'll recall when we talked about doing this show, was you being a wrestler, me being an entertainment guy, having worked in film and television. I felt like it was a great mix for the two of us to be on the same show. It was a big deal for me to have a pro wrestler sitting next to me if I was ever going to do a pro wrestling podcast. It's just something that made sense. And the other thing that we agreed on was that we weren't going to be the type of show that just panders to the audience and tells them what they want to hear.
Yes.
There's plenty of shows like that out there. There's plenty of shows that give you everything that you want to hear to get retweets and get likes and get follows and things like that. And we never were interested in being that type of show. We're not going to disagree with people just for the sake of disagreeing, but at the same time, we wanted to be genuine. We wanted to give our opinions. And if you disagree, we wanted to have a dialogue about it. That's part of what makes wrestling interesting for each of us. So there was a little bit of a sense of... what's the word I'm looking for?
We told you, motherfuckers.
And again, I'm not meaning to go there, but one of the things that we took a lot of heat for, you and me specifically, was this idea of fans getting themselves over at live events and the way that they react at live events. And you and I specifically have been talking about this. I first brought it up at WrestleMania after the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns main event. I took my son to the show, and one of the few things he could talk about afterwards was what was everybody doing during the main event? What was that all about? And it was one of those things that screwed up his 12-year-old, special needs enjoyment of the show. And that's when I kind of got on my horse about this and started talking about how fans just need to cool it and keep in mind that there are other people at these shows that are interested in what's going on, not just you. And the pushback that you and I got at the time was basically people saying, well, it's Roman Reigns. It's Roman Reigns, and if WWE wasn't shoving Roman Reigns down our throat, and if WWE was giving the fans what they wanted, then this kind of shit wouldn't happen. At Extreme Rules last night, Roman Reigns didn't get shoved down your throat. He was in the middle of the card. He got beat clean as a whistle, right in the middle of the ring by Bobby Lashley. Got beat clean, and your boy Seth Rollins was in the main event.
Yes.
And the fans still took a shit on the match.
So
they started counting down from 10 and doing the Royal Rumble buzzer throughout the match. And basically just jacking with an otherwise very entertaining main event between Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins.
So is this where I say we told you motherfuckers?
This is where
we say we told you motherfuckers.
We kind of look back and say there are a lot of people today on Twitter, and I took a certain amount of quiet satisfaction because I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go out there and start
I'm absolutely the guy that
out.
will tweet everyone and say, I told you.
But here's the thing. There were a lot of people that came at me specifically when I started talking about how ridiculous it was for the fans to behave the way that they behaved. Most notably at Money in the Bank was the one where I had a few back and forths with people. And those same people were trying to come back now and say, oh, the fans were totally out of control. Fans totally hijacked that show. And
it's only because now they got what they wanted, and then the fans still acted the same way, and so now it's a problem. It's basic what happens in this country, and sadly enough, is it's only a problem until it fucking affects you.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like Roman Reigns and they're fucking hijacking a Roman Reigns match, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
That's how people feel. But now it's two guys you actually love, and now it's like, we've got to do something about these fans.
That's exactly
and they're
right.
hijacking the show. Man, we told you motherfuckers.
It's just one of those things where, again, the point of bringing this up, folks, is that
it's not to tell you we told you motherfuckers.
It is not. It is to say that we work very hard to make this show one where we offer our opinions, our genuine opinions. We don't pander. We don't come off and say the WWF is the greatest thing since sliced bread. WWE's greatest thing since sliced bread. We don't say New Japan's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Yeah. We don't say, we're going to tell you what we honestly feel.
We're adamant about Impact sucking, though.
And right. We hope that you will be very honest with us about how you feel, because that's what's entertaining for us about doing this show.
Yeah.
And so, again, I felt a great deal of satisfaction in knowing that despite the fact that we were taking a lot of shit for calling out fans a long time ago for their behavior, a lot of people have now come around to our side of the fence and are saying...
Ooh. So it's like a Negro Damas and White Damas. I guess Nostradamus.
White Damas.
Yeah.
That was the best you could come up with for a white guy version of Negro Damas was White Damas.
Is it a mulatto Damas?
A
mulatto Damas situation? Hit the music.
I don't even know what it is. There you go. Just because Silky wanted to have the music in.
Mulatto Damas.
I hope you guys can see us okay. We're our screen's showing up kind of funky on the periscopes here. But hey, it's looking good on the YouTubes, and we're going to keep rolling with it. I love Roman Reigns, but come on, Finn deserves the win, says Brooke. Welcome. And welcome to David Spizak, my aforementioned 13-year-old now son, who is with us as well. So, and welcome to all of you on Periscope. Like I said, feel free to chime in at any time and let us know what you think. So, as far as Extreme Rules go, we did actually have, you and I said it, that this was probably going to be a pretty entertaining card.
And from what I saw, it was B Team. So is that
we
one
got new
for
champs. We got B Team as the new. Okay, we'll give you.
Boom. I call B Team. But alas,
your new champs.
My Rusev pick did not quite pan out.
That's okay. It was still a good match. A very entertaining match.
Yeah, it was still a good match.
That was a lot of fun. And for the first time ever, Shinsuke Nakamura is wearing a belt in the main roster, at least, of WWE.
That was bullshit.
That was
that was complete and utter trash. That was wasted fucking valuable time.
I tweeted it at the time. I said the first major disappointment of the night was, and I had no problem with Nakamura getting that belt because I think it's long overdue. I think that guy
6 fucking seconds. He hit him in the dick, and then he kneed him in the face, and then he pinned him. And then Randy Orton came out, and I was like, uh-oh, it's about to get interesting. And then Randy Orton hit him in the dick. Yeah. And then I'm wondering, why is everyone hitting Jeff Hardy in the dick?
Yeah, and Jeff Hardy's probably wondering.
He was probably wondering
why
that,
is
too.
Everybody hitting me in the dick. Yeah, it's just, I don't understand it. I did
not understand why that was happening. I really didn't. I mean, it made no sense. And then he just walks off. And you're like,
what the hell was that all about?
Like, that was a waste of time.
Hopefully we'll get some answers tomorrow.
5 fucking minutes to do the whole thing. You could at least give me a 3-minute match and Nakamura cheats to win. I would have taken that over what we got. And it's, yeah, that was so bad.
Yes. Do us a favor, hit that retweet button if you are catching us here on Periscope. Hit that like button if you're on YouTube. And by all means, please subscribe wherever you happen to be listening to us. For those of you who are watching us on Periscope, wondering where we've been here the whole time. We're just moving a lot of our content over to the YouTube channel where we got some other videos coming up aside from the live show on Monday nights and Thursday nights. We got some other good stuff coming for you. So
we should tell them what that stuff is.
Well, we'll tell them that it is tinyurl.com/Speez benchmark. You can see it right down there on the bottom of your screen there. Still haven't figured out how to point.
Yeah.
Where to point on this thing to get it right.
It's right here. But it looks like, see, right now it looks like I'm pointing at your shit, and I don't like that. So maybe you should handle the pointing.
tinyurl.com/Speez benchmark is where you want to be. So aside from the fans, we did get a couple of title changes. We got Nakamura winning the U.S. title.
B-Team!
Not really sure where Randy Orton fits into that picture. We also had the B-Team winning the Raw Tag Team titles. No other title changes to speak of. The main event was entertaining.
It was.
Again, all in all, I saw some pretty hardcore negativity about this show online that I don't really get.
Because people are bitches.
It's not a show.
Wrestling fans, the whole IWC can be bitches. They're going to bitch about something.
They're going to find something to complain about.
It wasn't a bad show from what of it I saw. It was pretty entertaining. Like I say, the only knock was the Nakamura title change, and that's just because you took a pay-per-view time to do that. That could have been done on fucking SmackDown, honestly, if you were going to do it like that. I mean, and maybe it's just because I want to see a Nakamura Hardy match. I mean, I'm not the biggest Hardy fan, but I thought that was going to be a pretty interesting match.
That was one of the matches that we were definitely looking forward to. And another one that we were looking forward to that seemed to win the fans over the longer it went was the Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley match.
Which I unfortunately did not see because I fell asleep.
Yes, you were wrestling all day and putting your body through much pain and suffering.
And my face hurt at that point.
I'm not going to make the joke I was going to make there. But anyway.
I fucking hate you.
So that was a good match as well. And like I said, overall, a pretty entertaining card. For what WWE has to offer nowadays, considering the fact that there were quite a few guys like The Miz, Samoa Joe, Dean Ambrose, if you're a Dean Ambrose guy, Randy Orton. There were a lot of guys who weren't a part of this card.
And that's what I'm not really, there's just no way to really appease everyone.
This is true.
That's the sucky part because it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because you separate the shows so more people can get seen. Now it's too many fucking pay-per-views. You take them away, there's only a finite number of spots on each pay-per-view, so you don't see a lot of your favorite guys. And unfortunately, there's just no in-between on there.
No, there's not. Now, we should mention with regard to, Brooke talks about what was up with Pittsburgh fans. There's been a lot of discussion about that today.
Because they're Pittsburgh fans.
And that was crap. Poor Jeff. Randy turns heel again. We should mention that Jeff Hardy and Nakamura will have a rematch tomorrow on SmackDown Live. I kind of would have liked to see this happen in the opposite order. Let them have a good match at the pay-per-view, and then if you want to do the bullshit with Nakamura going low blow and winning real quick, do that on SmackDown Live.
Yeah, you just don't put that fucking match on the pay-per-view.
Now one thing
if you only have 6 seconds for a fucking match, it shouldn't be on the pay-per-view.
Unless
it's something like The Rock versus that Rowan.
Well, no, I'll say this because one of the things that I read last night was that it's a definite possibility that Jeff Hardy is experiencing some manner of injury, and you got to get the belt off of him if he's injured.
I don't
have a problem with it.
You don't build up to a big show.
Yeah, but how much build was there to this match? Really?
It doesn't matter. There was some build to the match. And
but if you got to get the belt off him, it's better than just stripping him of the belt.
It is, but you could have done that on fucking SmackDown before, and then had Nakamura defend the title in an actual match against anyone. I don't even give a fuck who it is.
That's fair. But,
that's
again,
pay-per-view time
we
wasted for that bullshit.
That was the one steaming turd on there.
Oh yeah,
and the other one that people are really complaining about which again, I don't know what you expect when it comes to James Ellsworth and Carmelo.
That was terrible.
But Ellsworth pulled the total I'll say this. The match was not very good. Ellsworth doing his Ellsworth where he gets caught in the fucking cage and gets the shit kicked out of him was vintage Ellsworth. I mean, that's exactly what you would expect from a clown like that. And the fact that Asuka got to kick the shit out of him like he was a human piñata for a while was actually fairly entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, it was entertaining on that. And I'll give him props because it was actually believable that, you know, she capitalized and threw her into the cage and got the win.
It was believable. It wasn't entertaining.
The finish, no, I mean,
the most entertaining thing in the world, but it was believable.
It was too much. You know what I mean? If they could have done that, like without all him dropping all the weapons that she gets caught with and stuff like that, if they could have just had their match, let Asuka whoop her ass all over for about a good 5 to 8 minutes, Ellsworth then gets out and then gets hung, and then they have to lower the cage, and while the ref is doing that, bam, face planter, 1, 2, 3. You've got a competitive. It's better than it would just became too much in my opinion.
And that's fair. And Silky Books. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about in one of our future video series, Silky Books. And we were going to have Silky book the Universal title, but now that they've actually booked the Universal title,
I can still book the fucking Universal title.
Okay, well,
it's what I want to do.
The fucking Universal title. Silky Book's going to be one of our web series that we've got going. Not a web series, but one of our video series that we'll have on our YouTube channel, as well as everything you need to know about SmackDown Live in under 3 minutes, which will return tomorrow night. So be on the lookout for that. On to Monday Night Raw today, where Kurt Angle laid down the gamut and said...
Oh, before we get to that, can I say that was the worst ultimatum ever? You don't have 3 options in an ultimatum.
This is true.
And it's just me nitpicking, and because I thought it was hilarious when he was like, you have 2 options. You could show up to Raw, or you can come to terms on a contract, or I'm stripping you. What fucking ultimatum is that? The announcers kind of cleaned it up, but it was just pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, I mean, you knew what was coming. You knew that he wasn't going to outright strip him of the title. I think there was some wishful thinking going on.
I mean, there was, and I mean, it made it at least interesting that he even fucking addressed it.
Hey, you heard the pop that came from the fans as soon as he brought it up.
The title.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that people have wanted to see for as much for as much negativity as surrounds the Universal title online and people claiming left and right that they don't care about it. The second that you mention that title being off Brock Lesnar and actually being back in circulation on Monday Night Raw, people go nuts for it.
I know.
They go nuts for it.
I do kind of agree with Brick, though. I want Finn to win, and just because that would make, it'll make sense once you see the Silky Books. But
this is true.
And I think I don't like Braun Strowman as Mr. Money in the Bank. It's just he doesn't need it.
He doesn't, but and by the way, before we move on from Extreme Rules, can we all have a nice tip of the cap to Mr. Kevin Owens, who, holy shit.
Yeah,
that guy
himself. I don't like what they're doing with Kevin Owens.
I
don't. I mean, I like Kevin Owens, and he's very fucking entertaining.
He's so entertaining.
I feel like he's going too far in the sense of, like, all these crazy stuff he's doing. And it might be, hopefully it's just the phase they're doing with Strowman, but it's like he's turned himself into, like, fucking Mick Foley.
I said it last night. He really feels like this generation's Mick Foley in that not only is he willing to put his body through this ridiculous amount of pain, but he has such a great understanding for ring psychology and how to get the fans and the crowd into a match.
Yeah.
I mean, he started it last night when, he was trying to run away from Strowman, and Strowman screamed at him, you say fight Owens, fight me, you coward. And that was great. And
in which
Owens talking trash with him and get him worked up and get the crowd worked up against him. I mean, he's as good as there is. I've been saying it for a while. Silky's been saying it for a while. We love what Kevin Owens does there, but holy shit, man! I mean, to see him take that fall, you couldn't not think of Mick Foley.
Yeah, you could. I mean, that's why they did it. They have marketing people.
Well, in the whole match, if you look at it, was sort of a throwback to the Attitude Era because not only did we get the Mick Foley getting thrown off the cage, We got a Stone Cold Stunner in there.
Oh, yeah.
We got an Owens crotch chop to, a little DX crotch chop over to Strowman as well. It was great. I mean, it was absolutely great.
Oh, so it was great when he did it, but people in the Bullet Club do it or the Young Bucks do it, and you like come up with some shit original.
Because they do it all the time. Number one, and number two,
hypocrite,
they blocked me on Twitter for no fucking reason. Nick Jackson.
They blocked you because you tell them that they suck.
I have never. I challenge anybody to go on the interwebs and find out a spot where I've said the Young Bucks suck.
You may not have said it on the interwebs, but we've had several conversations where you told me they suck.
That is not true. I have not said the Young Bucks. Silky's trying to start some shit after we had the good fortune to meet the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Very polite gentlemen,
Yeah,
both of them, and we enjoyed their company. And then I came back and found out that I was blocked by Nick Jackson, which it didn't happen after that show. Apparently it happened sometime before. But, yeah, I've said it before. Nick, I know you're watching. I know you wait for the new episode of Speez the Benchmark. What's let's talk it out, brother. Let's figure it out. Whatever it is, I know we can do it. Everybody loving DX. They love it. And that's a good thing. So, hey, Kevin Owens, hats off to you, sir. I hope he's doing well. I hope he, he's hurting, but something tells me he'll be back and he'll be in good shape soon enough. On to Monday Night Raw. We had 2 triple threat matches to determine who would fight for the right to meet Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam for the Universal title.
Which, can we start off with, what the fuck? Like, almost 20 minutes before we actually got any action. Do you realize that?
Well, that's kind of how Monday Night Raw goes.
But it was just, I've never really, because I kind of fast forward, I'm not going to lie. I kind of fast forward through this stuff to just make sure I know.
At some point, you want to watch the wrestling, and you can kind of figure out what's going on as far as the promos go.
I was like, Jesus Christ. And then Kurt Angle made it so obvious that he's just sitting there waiting for the next person to come interrupt. It was just bad. But it got to the 2 triple threat matches. The first one was pretty decent from what I saw.
The first one was great. I really enjoyed the first one. That would be Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, and Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is a stud.
Yeah, I like Drew McIntyre.
He's great.
I wanted Finn Balor to win that one. Or Drew. I would have been happy with Drew. Anyone but, honestly, the 2 people that won the fucking matches and is what I would have wanted.
We're gonna get
but
to
that's
that.
Just me.
We're going to get to that in a second. I mean, I don't have a huge problem with it, but we'll talk about where my issue with it came in. We just
saw that fucking match.
Okay, we'll jump to it now because Silky wants to get to it.
We just saw fucking match.
Why
do I want to see this match again? And then, are you going to give me the same? If we got the same finish where Lashley wins and we get Lashley and Lesnar at SummerSlam,
but
then
here's my question:
Why?
Why
couldn't Lashley have beaten like a Finn Balor?
Here's my question: why not just make the match at Extreme Rules a number 1 contenders match for the Universal title?
That would have been smart too. I mean, but we're past that. Obviously,
I mean,
that
obviously
ship
we
sailed.
are.
That ship sailed. But why? Why do this again? I mean, Lashley has to win. They can't possibly like put Reigns in.
Well, they can.
I mean, they could obviously, but
hopefully they won't. I think people.
And
are
it's
ready
not
to see
an
something
anti-Roman Reigns rant from me. It's just that
it's a we've been there and done that rant.
Yes, exactly.
And this, hey, look, this
2
was
WrestleManias, the fucking greatest Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
it's just it's done. We're tired of it.
It's time to move on. It's time to move on. And here's the thing, because there's plenty else for Roman to do. There's plenty else for him to do.
What would you have him do?
I thought his match with Lashley was great. I didn't mind him having a program with Lashley at all.
But now, I mean, judging by this, just going where we were hoping they would go, because again, they can't possibly put Roman and Brock again. That means Lashley wins, right? So Lashley.
You would hope so. You would hope so.
So Lashley would face Lesnar. What does Roman do after that?
I mean, Roman's got guys that I think he could have entertaining matches with. I think Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns would be a very entertaining match.
We've seen that.
I know we have, but okay, who is Roman going to fight that he hasn't fought already?
That he hasn't fought already, like hundreds of times? I don't know.
I mean, that's the point. At some point, you're going to rehash. Now, I could totally see Roman and Drew McIntyre.
You didn't think I was going to pull one out?
Okay, so you pull the new guy off the heap there.
Hey, it still happens.
I mean, I could say, oh yeah, put him with Tyler Breeze. Boom. Haven't seen him against Tyler Breeze, have you?
Maybe.
Shut up, dude.
FCW, actually.
Hey, but
look it up. I am on my wrestling history.
Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns could be a very entertaining feud. I think Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns could be a very entertaining feud.
Yeah, I'm down on that one.
I don't think you can put.
That's a thumbs down for me.
I'm trying to think of Roman Reigns against another big guy, another big man, where you could have those kind of hoss fights, sort of like, him and Lashley and what he did with Joe. You can't put him in there with Corbin because I don't think people like Corbin enough. I think that's one where people are just.
Cue the David.
Yeah, they're well. No, but look,
but,
I like Baron Corbin more than
Corbin.
I like Corbin more than most people. I'm not as big a fan of Constable Corbin, but I think he's a lot more talented than what a lot of people give him credit for.
No, and it's not a. I just hate the whole Constable thing, and they took away everything that made him special.
That's kind of and they're making him.
They're making him like the corporate Kane, but just more athletic. Like, this dude. When I looked at that match, I did see that. That's one I didn't fall asleep on because it was early in the card.
Right.
It was Finn Balor and Corbin, and just the realism of how fucking quick this guy is.
I'm telling you, man.
For his size, they did that spot where he ran, and Finn went to throw him, and he throw him out, and he slid under the rope. Got in, slid in, and before Finn knew it, fucking flattened him.
He does that move a lot, and that is so goddamn impressive when he does that.
It's just. The match was very good. I think that I like how the finish happened.
Yeah,
with the roll up. So it didn't take, it didn't take away from Corbin because he had a lot of that match. So
there's a lot of roll up finishes. I'm not a huge fan of roll up finishes, but I agree with what you're saying in terms of you.
Roll up. There's places for it. Every match can't end with a finish.
This is true.
It would have totally shit on Baron Corbin to take the finish from Finn Balor,
especially after all the shit that he talked on Twitter about him.
Especially all that you're doing the little people kill the business. You're not big enough, which to me is funny because he's just shorter than him, but Baron Corbin is not a big dude.
No, he's not.
He's tall, but. He
used to be a hell of a lot bigger. Props to him. He's lost a lot of weight from his NFL days, and he's come a long way. So,
but if you put him and Finn, you made Finn his height, he's a small guy because he has no tone or anything. I think that's why they went for that because WWE's marketing, it's all about appearance.
True,
and he doesn't appear to be physically imposing as they put him over.
I like David's suggestion here. What about Cesaro? Where the hell have Sheamus and Cesaro been?
I don't fucking know. Forgot about that.
I actually like the idea of a Roman Reigns Cesaro feud. I think those two are rock solid. I think
they missed the boat on that though for Cesaro.
They very well might have, but
because
that's a great suggestion, David. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that is a very good suggestion. Right now, though, it's just that it's been so long since he's out of the spotlight. I'm not clamoring to see him like back when they were semi pushing him before they did this whole thing with him and Sheamus when they were doing the best of whatever.
Best of 7 and all that going on, yeah.
Yes, back then, yes, I would have wanted to see that because it seemed like he was on the upswing. He was about, but now he's a tag team dude. They've established him as a tag team dude. I don't think they're going to establish him as a singles guy anymore, and I don't think there's any demand for it now.
Yeah,
supply and demand. The demand is very low for Cesaro to be that main event guy.
Yeah, that's it. It happens. Are they back over on SmackDown Live now, Sheamus and Cesaro?
Oh, I think
it's so. This
I don't fucking know what happened to them.
It's just been insane. But
they just disappeared.
The last time I saw Sheamus and Cesaro, they were sitting with Rusev in a bar watching the World Cup. That's
comedy bits.
Where the hell have they been, man? It's crazy. I'd like to see them in the ring. I'd like to see Rusev in the ring. I'm sorry. I'd like to see Cesaro in the ring. There's nothing more sad than a bunch of grown men talking about fake wrestling.
Oh.
All right, Jones Mate J.
Or whatever.
Happy to have you with us, sir. Enjoy the show.
Yeah.
$1 Million Studios. Chris Bezak, the Benchmark Silky Baines.
That he's
Glad
watching.
To have you with us.
Hey,
all right, man. So yeah, there's spots for Roman, but
can we reply to that guy about the fake wrestling thing?
No, man, let him stick around. That'd be great. What's up, U34? I gotta get some of these Twitter handles are tough to.
Yeah, they are.
That's a mouthful.
I really want to respond to that guy, just because.
No, man, he's up in our numbers. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, he's up in our numbers.
We welcome everybody.
There's also nothing more sad than the person that goes on and tries to talk shit to someone else because he's behind the comfort of his keyboard.
Exactly. Keyboard warriors. We love them.
Yes. We love.
And by love them, we mean not at all.
Yeah.
So you've got your Roman Reigns versus Lashley for your number one contender next week for the Universal title. I got to think it's Lashley.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Roman.
I would be very
thinking it's Lashley. Not surprised if it's Roman. We'll see how it goes. I made the comment earlier because we're going to jump around in Raw a little bit. I made the comment earlier. Did you see this? Bayley and Sasha Banks backstage after their match, little promo going on.
No, because I think I was on my way over here.
Okay,
to
so
$1 Million Studios. But
essentially, what happened is what's up, boss? Glad to have you with us again. U34. There's so many U's in there, man. It's almost like I don't know what that is. Tell us your real name. Give us a name we can call you. I'll call you Spike or something for while I give a shit. Just something other than U34. Anyway, Sasha and Bayley backstage doing their thing again, and there was a second where Sasha basically said to Bayley, "You don't get it, do you? I love everything about you. I love that you're great with kids. I love that the fans love you. I love this, do this. I love you, and I've always loved you." And I tweeted this out, and it wasn't like a crazy sexual porn thing.
Are they doing the...
I thought they were... I was like, is anybody else waiting for these two to just, like, plant a huge kiss on one another? It totally looked like that's where that angle was going.
So it didn't go there?
It did not go there. Sasha walked out, and, Bayley kind of looked like, oh, my buddy, she left me again.
She's in love with her?
My buddy walked out again. Are we doing that chick thing where we're going to talk about love versus in love? Is that what we're doing here?
I don't know.
We're not talking about fake wrestling, so maybe that'll keep our boy Jones mate Jay around.
I don't give a fuck if he's around.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's where they're going with this?
I don't understand where Sasha and Bayley are going. That was going to be my question to you. Have we jumped the shark with Sasha and Bayley? Has that ship sailed to where... Because I still get the feeling... Because wrestling fans are fickle like this. We'll bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch and bitch about things. And then when the match finally comes, people will go, "I was fucking great. I was so excited to see that, man. It was awesome."
That's I'm going with this one.
I really think there's a nostalgia factor with Sasha and Bayley. People are going to, when that match is booked, whenever it is, people are going to start talking about the Iron Woman match that they had. They're going to talk about the NXT title match that they had. Mm-hmm. Bayley finally going over Sasha and NXT. There's a lot of history between those two where even though I have no fucking idea what they're doing right now.
Yeah. I think there's going
to be some excitement for it when it happens.
I know we have to suspend our disbelief, but again, I brought this up. Why is it they have to get along?
Yeah, everybody keeps saying that as well.
I don't understand why they're putting so much. They're telling us they have to and that they're important, but they're not showing us why. If they did even if it's something gimmick to...
Brooke was talking about the HLA earlier. Now
yes.
It's the PG era now, so we can't really be bringing that back, Eric Bischoff, but...
I'll bring the popcorn and the scissors.
Yeah, of course you will. Of course you will.
But, in fact... I lost my train of thought.
Are they actually going to fight?
I hope they will because it just...
Somebody had a good idea because it seems like for me to get the interest,
I just need to see something tangible as to why they're important.
Well, and it seems like...
work together.
Angle said it again today. He said to, I believe it was...
Bayley.
Was it to Bayley that he said, if you two can't get along, then one of you is going to get traded to SmackDown Live?
Exactly. Why is my question, though. Why? To me, if
ours
they can't get along...
Ours is not to wonder why, Silky. Ours is but to do or die, sir.
The fuck are you talking about?
Come on, man. Somebody knows that quote.
That's some weird white people shit.
It's not weird white people Shakespearean shit, and things like that.
Yeah.
That's okay, man. Don't worry about it.
Quote the, book of Dr. Dre.
There you go. The book of Tupac or something. Yeah. They'll know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Racist fuck. Anyway.
Somebody said on Twitter earlier, I thought this was an interesting idea. What about a Bayley versus Sasha loser leaves Raw match? Now, why? That would consider,
why?
But at least it's a stipulation that gets you somewhat interested in it,
No, but why can't? Because to me, just from a standpoint of business, we sell fighting in wrestling, right?
We're supposed to.
So it would stand to reason that if you have two people that are beloved by millions and millions of fans, but they can't stand each other, those millions and millions of fans will want to see them fight. So to me, it's more profitable to keep them on the same show and have them fight. Like, I don't understand why they have to work together. Show me something. That's all I'm saying.
I understand.
I know I'm looking too far into it because it's fucking wrestling, but show me something. Show me some numbers that say when they're not on the same show, the number of women's wrestling numbers are down in the fucking tubes. Something tangible that I can be like, okay, now I understand why it's important for him to keep them on the same show.
It's almost like they realize these two are popular. We should really have them on TV. So let's just give them something. But the something that they picked has really been kind of absurd. And it's really not been
I'm going to be
a lot of fun
honest with you. The only thing that really would give me is if they went with the HLA angle. That's the only way.
It's not coming. Stop
It's
it.
not, but I'm saying that's the only way I would actually be interested in that feud.
Welcome to King Ocho 3K. Thanks for joining us, sir. Retweet the program. Get it out there to all your followers as well. Yeah, that's not happening there. We did get to see those two in action with Dana Brooke, who actually took one of the more impressive bumps on the show, getting flip suplexed off of the apron onto the floor.
Yeah.
Which was pretty impressive. Dana Brooke said something on Twitter the other day about, I just want to wrestle. Just want to be in the ring. Just want to wrestle. Just want to do my thing. I thought she made a pretty good argument for herself.
I'm a Dana Brooke fan.
Well, I know why you're a Dana Brooke fan, and it has little to do with her wrestling ability.
She's good.
Okay. Silky trying to run off all the
Black
female
man's
viewers of the
kryptonite.
program. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So other than that, the big story obviously on Raw was the number one contenders match, Lashley versus Reigns. Now we know that's what it's going to be next week on Raw for the number one contender to the Universal title. This weekend was also the kickoff of the G1 Climax over in New Japan, their yearly tournament to crown the G1 Climax. Am I correct?
I believe now that they have the U.S., they can choose that too. But it's basically any singles title in New Japan.
I see.
With the exception of Nakamura, who won and chose to go after the Intercontinental, everyone goes after the heavyweight title, the world title, because, that stands to reason.
Which you would expect. Yes, you would expect. So we broke down the blocks on Thursday night's show last week before we lost Silky for the night, who had to go and check on some power outages at his place, but everything turned out okay, so that was good. So looking at Block A so far, you've got Michael Elgin off to a 2-0 start.
Yep, and I watched the Elgin Evil match, which was pretty good. I mean, two big guys beating the crap out of each other.
My pick to come out of Block A was Switchblade Jay White. And again, so he wasn't here on Thursday. My picks to come out of Block A, Block B, I had Switchblade Jay White coming out of Block A. I had Tama Tonga on the heels of his fantastic turn on the rest of the Bullet Club coming out of Block B.
Bullet Club was technically they were heels to begin with.
Yeah, but it's still it's not a heel turn, a turn on the rest of the Bullet Club.
Yes.
He did turn on the rest of the Bullet Club there. So I had those two meeting in the final with Tama Tonga going over. I don't think both of those guys are going to make the final because, a heel final is probably not the way they're going to book it. But my thinking was, for those of you who watch the show, you know that Silky and I are not exactly the greatest prognosticators out there. Negro Damas does, on occasion, get something right. But more often than
you.
We're pretty shitty at picking these things.
I mean, but it's like a fucking bunch of people here.
Well, it looks like. We're looking
anything could happen.
We're looking at it right now, and it's like a grid of just fucking names everywhere. If you look at it, your head's gonna explode. But anyway, Jay White is off to a 2-0 start in Block A, and that's very good. I'm excited about that.
I would have to say my pick is going to be, even though I like Jay White, I kind think Tama Tonga's gonna win it.
You think Tama Tonga is going to win the whole thing?
With that being said, like you said, I don't think they do both of them they wouldn't necessarily not, because technically the juniors, Takahashi was, LIJ, they're not exactly fan favorite, or they are fan favorite. They're technically heels.
Technically, but
and
New Japan doesn't
Ishimori, which is Bullet Club, and technically heel. So I would say you couldn't be That could actually happen.
Could actually happen. Well, maybe we'll see.
So, but I'm going with Hangman Page.
Hangman Page
and Tama Tonga.
And Tama Tonga in the final. You got Tama Tonga going.
I got Tama Tonga going to face Kenny at Wrestle Kingdom.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about that real quickly. I want to get back to a comment here from Chaos Theory 35. Why not an interim champ so Brock can keep the belt for the UFC fight? We have a champ on TV, then a rivalry for when Brock eventually comes back. So you have an interim champ.
Because that would be stupid.
Holding the belt until Brock comes back, and then Brock says, hey, you never beat me for this belt. Give me my shot.
Because wrestling is a work. So that would be, that's just not a good idea. That wouldn't work for wrestling.
It wouldn't work for wrestling, I don't think.
Like for wrestling.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, because of the, just because of the fact that, it's so...
I do like what he's saying here.
I like the premise of we have a title that's defended, but it just wouldn't work on the interim side because there's
nobody's going to look at that guy as a legitimate champion.
Exactly, and the whole reason for interim champion is because someone is hurt. Like when UFC they have an interim heavyweight champ, it's because the heavyweight champ is hurt.
Exactly,
and they don't want to
strip him of the title. Yeah. Now I will say this: you have to think from a business perspective, and again, we tend to look at these things more as fans and guys who actually watch the show for entertainment purposes than business perspective all the time. It makes a lot of sense for Vince to want Brock to walk into the octagon against Daniel Cormier with the WWE Universal Championship belt on, or at least be able to take all the press shots after the fact with the UFC title, assuming he beats Cormier.
He's not.
And the WWE title, both.
Assuming he wins that.
That's just a huge Vince wet dream there. You got to figure that he would love to see that. So I'm not going to sit here and say as much as we as fans would like to see.
From the business standpoint, yes, that would be great. That would be great. That would be crossover, mainstream. UFC fans or mixed martial art fans in general kind of look down on wrestling.
This is true.
And
the hardcores tend to look at what's happening in UFC right now. They kind of look down upon it, like the standoff between Brock and Cormier after the latest UFC pay-per-view.
Which you can't tell me that wasn't work because again, of course. You get in my face like that, and I don't know, and this is not a work situation. Yeah. I'm knocking you the fuck out.
Hey, did you see? It was Cormier's trainer. One of his trainers went after Brock.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, okay, well, shit.
Yeah, I listened to MMA Junkie on Sirius Radio, and they had him on. He's like, if it was a planned thing, I knew nothing about it.
Because he was pissed. And you could tell he was pissed.
He was.
So, yeah, I see where you're coming from, Chaos. I think, again, it looks like...
It just wouldn't work because they would know that that's why.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't look at him as a legitimate champ, so he would never get over. Now Chaos says not true. Randy Couture left UFC, so they had an interim champ. See, that's us not being up on our UFC knowledge. But he still wasn't there. Like, you're talking about he left the company. I'm assuming because, again, we're not up on UFC like that, but I'm assuming he left the company when he says he left. So... It's still, bottom line is it still wouldn't work in wrestling because of that fact. No one would look at him as a legitimate champ, especially knowing that Brock is over there training for UFC.
Yeah, I think you run into the same problem either way, whether you have Brock hold on to the title or if you book an interim champ in the meantime. You're still waiting as a fan for when the hell is somebody going to get in the ring against Brock Lesnar and take that belt off of him.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going for. So, anything else beyond somebody actually stepping into the ring with him, you got to think that people are probably going to look at it and go, this isn't as big a deal. We got to get Brock in there and we got to have somebody actually fight him in the ring. Getting back over to the G1 here. So Kenny Omega got the win over Naito. I believe that was earlier today, if I'm not mistaken. Tama Tonga got his first win against Juice Robinson, newly crowned IWGP US champ. One of the things that we mentioned, and I find this interesting, and I'm anxious to hear what New Japan fans have to say about this. When you have your IWGP heavyweight champion in the G1,
which he's not going to win,
but that's That's my question.
Yeah, that's the problem.
What
that is the issue because
have we ever had? And I'm not as up on my New Japan history as I am on WWE history. Have we ever had an active IWGP Heavyweight Champion win the G1?
I believe so, but that was before. That's when winning the G1 was just winning the G1.
Before the stipulation of you got the challenge
the
for
challenge right, or the challenge certificate is what they call it.
Gotcha.
So, since the modern era of doing the challenge certificate, no, because you can't sell Wrestle Kingdom Kenny Omega versus Kenny Omega.
Well, no, but you say Kenny Omega is going to go try to unify the belts, have two belts.
Well, I mean, and I think that's why.
But
they have the champions in it because, I mean, you have the U.S. champ in it. You have the heavyweight champ in it.
Yeah.
Who's the Intercontinental champ right now? Oh, Jericho.
Yeah.
So he's not in it. So that's why you have it in it because theoretically, if Omega won, he could say he wants Juice's title, or he could say, I want the Intercontinental title. I want another match with Jericho.
Theoretically, you could
theory,
say that.
But, I mean, also, his is the only situation where you can be like, I buy him going after another title because he has the top prize.
That's right.
I mean, unless you're going to build up something like some blood feud and whatnot, then there's no point. Like, say Omega was the U.S. champ or the Intercontinental champ and Tama Tonga won it and they've got this blood feud. Yeah, he could choose to go after Omega. It's more for that because he wants to get his hands on him than the title. But, I mean, there's ways you could book it to make sense why you're not going after the heavyweight, but essentially, you're going after the heavyweight.
It's not as bad as the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship or the Best of the Super Juniors where you win that, you get a shot at the Junior Heavyweight Championship, and they put the Junior Heavyweight Champion in the tournament.
It's similar because of the fact that with that one, you don't inherently, that's not what the Best of the Super Juniors is about. It's not win the tournament, you get an automatic shot.
It's not a definitive stipulation, but it's pretty
win
much
the tournament.
Understood. It's pretty much understood.
It's pretty much you do end up getting a shot,
right?
Whether it's like the next challenger or the challenger after that, that's to be decided. I mean, because Takahashi won it, and then the very next match, or his very next big match, was against the champ when he beat Ospreay.
Yeah.
So, but like I say, it's all in how you sell it, and because they don't sell the Best of the Super Juniors as a winner gets a title shot, it's just strictly a tournament to see who's the best of the Super Juniors, and in that context, you have to put the champion in there because he's got to prove. But then, to me, it makes the champion look weak because the champion hardly ever wins it.
This is true. Any surprises that you're seeing so far from the first few days of the G1?
That Switchblade beat Okada.
That's a pretty big one there.
And Tanahashi. That's two former champions that he beat.
That's two of the most decorated champions. That's a very Zack Sabre Jr. in the New Japan Cup kind of start there to beat those two guys right out of the gate.
That's really it because, I mean, there's not all the other ones I'm seeing. Oh, Fale beating
Okada. Okada's off to an 0-2 start.
Yeah, but I'm almost venturing because it's Fale. I'm almost venturing that like Bullet or Firing Squad or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves got involved and he got,
Yeah, I can't say I know the details for that match.
Yeah, it might have been a count out, one of those like count out victories because in the New Japan, unlike with old school like championship series in AWA, where it's like you got points per decision. So like a pinfall was more points than a DQ victory,
right.
which was more points than a countout victory. Here it's just win or lose. You win, you get 2 points. You lose, you get nothing.
That's exactly right.
And so that could have been a countout.
I did hear that that Mr. Comedy Boy Toriano did a very good job in his match against Ishii. That people were very surprised at how good he was in that match. That it wasn't just a straight up.
I mean, he did his normal spots, but I mean, yeah, he
was a pretty serious competitor, and that when he wants to be,
he's
serious
very talented, and I think his comedy overshadows the fact that this guy is a very like accomplished amateur wrestler.
And you forget that when you see all his bullshit shenanigans that he does.
Yeah, but like because. When I watched that match, and like I say, he did like the whole, stop in the ropes, and do the run and then try to undo the he did that,
yeah.
but when it got down to it, like, he was actually out wrestling Ishii.
And you can't get in there and fuck around against a guy
Yeah.
like Ishii, or you'll get your fucking head knocked off.
And he did eventually.
So yeah, Brooke, the Rainmaker not doing good. He's off to an 0-2 start. Very surprising, but we saw this with Marty Scurll in the Best of the Super Juniors, where we kind of said, "Oh shit, this was one of our favorites," and he ended up making a pretty good showing and doing fairly well.
But he still didn't win, which to me was like wasted all the potential for that
great promo.
That epic promo.
God, it was so good.
And now, like, if Tama Tonga had cut that promo he did years ago about the G1, this tournament. Now, like, before, it's like he was a Bullet Club guy that was in it. You knew he wasn't winning. Now it's like, what a difference he turns on them.
Oh, shit,
and
right?
now we're actually considering him a viable guy. Because if you go down from the B block, Tonga, not really Omega, and I think honestly, Tonga and Ibushi are the only ones I see viable to make it to the finals or even win it from just this block.
You don't see Naito?
No, I mean, because he's won it. He won it last year, and he's won it before. Like, it'll be like the third time. And I mean, I'm just not pumped to see a night. It's kind of like the Reigns Lesnar thing. I've seen it so many times, and I watch a lot of New Japan. So
fair enough.
But I like the promise of like Tama Tonga and Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom, just because of what happened at the G1. I like the idea of the Golden Lovers going 1-on-1 and see how they react when the top prize is at stake.
Yeah.
So those are the only two. And then in the A block, it's really Okada, Tanahashi, White, and then maybe Page. Because
who you're actually picking out of these.
Yeah, I'm actually picking that because I'm just going, and I'm thinking from, booking standpoint of the heat between him, because he got his ass whooped too. So they make the finals. Then you get the heat to sell that match. Tama Tonga wins, and now you use that to sell the Wrestle Kingdom.
This is fair.
But there's a lot more. The A block is a little more stacked than the B block, honestly, in the sense of like people that I see winning. Like, I don't see Sabre winning.
See, but just from name recognition alone, like that B block is so stacked, man. And again, you say guys.
I think the A block is more. If you're a true New Japan fan.
With Ibushi, Ishii, Naito, Omega, your current U.S. champion, the guy who won the New Japan Cup, Tama Tonga, that's fucking stacked, man.
Sonata.
The B block is stacked.
But then you have Evil. You got Big Mike Elgin. Togi Makabe, which, like I say, if you're a New Japan fan, he is a big deal.
And he is off to the 2-0 start.
Okada, the former champ. Longest reigning champ.
Yeah.
You have Page.
Tanahashi,
Minoru Suzuki, Jay White.
I love watching Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah,
so
he's great.
So great.
Only one that, and no disrespect to him, the only one that seems like a bullshit entry in that would be Yoshihashi.
Yeah,
poor guy.
Poor Yoshihashi. Yeah, it's no, he'll be fine. He'll make a good showing, as they always do. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because you always get guys that get off to a fast start or guys that get off to a ridiculously slow start. And yet, the way things shake out in the end, you go, oh, yeah, it made perfect sense. But, it's kind of fun to watch it all play out. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that for sure. And we will keep an eye on everything else that we keep an eye on. SmackDown Live tomorrow night. We will be making the video, everything you need to know about SmackDown Live in under 3 minutes. So those of you who don't get a chance to check it out, you can check out that one. So, again, make sure you head on over to YouTube, tinyurl.com/Speez Benchmark, and check us out over there, and make sure to hit that subscribe button over there.
Twitter @Speez Benchmark
for sure, and
follow
of course
us individually @Chris Bezak, @Benchmark Silky.
And we will be here on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Time for our recording for our podcast, which you can find on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can find the Speez and the Benchmark Show. So thank you to everyone for joining us here tonight.
On both platforms.
This is true. On Periscope. Welcome back to our Periscope fans. On YouTube. Good to see you guys again. Silky, any parting words for the people before we call it a night, sir?
Negro Diamonds will pick the winner of the G1 Climax. I'm calling it.
He hopes. We will see you next time, everybody. For Silky Baines, Chris Speezak, Speez of the Benchmark Show. Have a good one.